Hello everybody and welcome back to I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. We're back and we are very concerned because this is the year where the famine is really going to hit. And this is the year where we're going to try and save our mom, so we're going to have to put all of our work into getting the food. Starting with talking to Cal. Did I go in the wrong place? No. Cal waves at you as you enter the garden, leaning on his shovel. Hey, Abby, he calls, but his eyes look past you, down to the path where Anemone is beating the absolute tar out of a training dummy. Her fierce battle cries echo across the colony, making Cal wince. She's been going really hard lately, huh? He says. He scratches his face, smearing dirt across his cheek. She asked me yesterday if I wanted to spar with her. She said it would be good for self-defense. Cal smiles sadly at the memory. I told her I don't want to fight. Not her, not a training dummy, and not anything else on this planet for real. I've never seen her get so mad at me. She called me a baby, and told me I'm gonna end up forcing everyone to protect me because I'm weak or helpless or whatever. He seems upset and stabs the ground a few times with the shovel. I just don't think it's right to fight anyone, especially the Xenos. They were here first, he says. What do you think, Yabby? Violence is never the answer. Cal looks relieved. I'm glad you think so too, he says. Everyone's always telling me to see both sides of the argument, like they think that just because I'm young I haven't made up my mind yet. He shrugs. I just think if you have to hurt someone to get what you need, you don't deserve to have it. His eyes go back to Anemone. She stopped sparring with the training dummy and is looking up at the gardens as she has a drink. Neither she nor Cal wave at each other. Cal clenches his fist. There's gotta be a way to figure out how to live in peace with all the cool things that live on this planet, he says. Like, hey, look at this weed I saw growing over here. Cal has such strong convictions. It's one of the things you like best about him, even if some people disagree with them. You spend a few hours with Cal in the gardens as he shows off the area that he's getting ready for the next planting season. The adults are really starting to trust him with more planting as he gets older, and he beams with pride. When you finally head out, you're just as dirty as he is, but you feel so much lighter. I also noticed this while I was preparing to record. I can help with the animals, which I did not realize I could do. Your dad is working with the float cows. One of them is sick and isn't producing enough urine as ballast, and it keeps wanting to float away. Your dad is building a spike so that he can tie her down until she feels better. You hold on to the leash, feeling like a little kid with a balloon, a big, woolly, gassy balloon. She looks down at you with placid, unblinking eyes. You can feel yourself refracted in them. Weird. Neat. Alright, the Valley of Vertigo isn't open yet, I don't think, and we're gonna save all of our surveying for when that is open. Yeah, not yet. We will wait. You visit Cal and Socks before your work shift one morning, just to check up on them. As you expected, Cal has Socks out for her twice daily playtime. Hey, Abby, he says, waving. Look what I taught Socks to do. At his gesture, Socks stands up on her hind legs and wiggles her upper body at you, like she's waving too. It's impressive. Who's a smart girl? You are! Next, Cal gestures in a circle, and Socks curls up in a ball. Then he raises both hands in the air like a scary monster, and Socks rears up and shudders menacingly. Cal says, pew pew, and Socks rolls over and sticks all her feet in the air. You count at least 14 legs. How do you find food for her? Cal looks distressed. It's really hard, he admits. She eats so much right now. Tons of leaves and grasses and those rocks, of course. I think she swallows them all together and chews it up in her guts like a float cow. Her teeth look like they go all the way down to her throat. I don't know if I can keep hiding her with how much food she eats, though, Cal says sadly. What happens when she outgrows her box? Socks clambers up Cal's arm, almost toppling him over with her weight, and curls up across his shoulders like a scarf. She looks seriously heavy. Well, people hardly use this barn anymore, Cal says, adjusting her weight. It's just storage. Maybe she can live up in the rafters? You're pretty sure her mom comes in here often, as the head of Geophonics, but you hold your tongue. Socks hasn't been discovered yet. Maybe she's really good at hiding. Does she get lonely? Cal says, looking down at the ground. I think so. She used to sleep all the time, but now she needs to run around and climb a lot more. I still come here every morning and evening to let her out, he says defensively, and she goes back into her box right away when I tell her. She's a good dilly piller, I promise. She knows she's not supposed to go outside without me. He pets her snout. I think maybe she's just not a baby anymore, you know? Aw, she's growing up so fast. Oh! Cal sneaks Socks out of her hiding place sometimes so she could play with sandals. It's risky considering she gets bigger every time you see her, but the garden is usually deserted during the workday. That's Socks! Socks and sandals! What? You're surprised when you wake up this morning and your mom and dad are both still in your quarters. Usually they're gone long before sunrise. You pull back the curtain and they look over at you with big smiles. "Yabby," your mom says, cradling a mug of blep tea in her hand as your dad rubs her feet. "Good morning." Good morning?" "We hadn't wanted to worry you," your mom replies, "but there's a reason we've been working so hard in geophonics. There was an accident during the wormhole transit, just before we landed. We lost geophonics in the hull breach. Our algae tanks, our microbial soil from Earth, it was all destroyed." She lets out a regretful sigh. "Once the soy rations ran out, we've been in deep trouble." "But," your dad chimes in cheerily, "between everyone's hard work farming and foraging, we finally have a steady supply of food. For the first time since we've landed, we have enough to make it through until harvest next year." "That's great!" Your mom salutes you with her blep tea. She looks more relaxed than you've seen her for a year at least. Maybe since before you landed on Vertumna. You know it could have been so much worse, but you push those dream memories from your mind. Your dad sighs happily. "I'm already looking forward to dinner. I haven't had time to really cook in ages. What should we have, Yabby?" "Corn on the cob!" "With mashed potatoes and garlic Guy Ian. Traditional veggies, Earth style." You and your parents cook a private meal in your kitchenette. Your dad does most of the work, but you help. When you sit down for a quiet family dinner, you realize that this is the first time you've done this in... you can't even remember how long. You talk about your day in the most mundane way possible. It's so pleasantly normal. You and your parents stuff yourselves silly and talk about the things you'll be able to do together now that they can relax and take more breaks from work. Every bite is heaven, and made even better by knowing that you had a real impact on the colony's future. Wait, so are we okay? Did we make it? We survived! We managed to get enough stuff to survive the famine before the famine was even talked about. How awesome! I got the achievement too while that was happening. No more hungry, no more. Oh, how awesome! Ended the famine. I knew I could do it. We did it! Alright, I guess we don't need to go all the way out to the Valley of Virgo, but I should still try and talk to Sim soon, so... maybe we will do some surveying. What do you think, Dees? I agree, let's go. Just kidding, I unlocked Valley of Vertigo right as I got out there, so we're going to the valley. Maybe we'll be able to unlock 10 to the animals, even though we don't need to, but it's something else new to do in geophonics. Security Chief Rhett visits the garden sometimes, especially when your mom is around. You can hear their laughter ring through the garden sometimes, though they go quiet as you approach. When you're sneaky, you can overhear them reminisce about old times, back when they used to serve together on Earth, before your mom chose your dad. Rhett still comes to your mom for advice, even though she doesn't like to talk about her time as a fighter. Interesting. It's always interesting to hear stuff about Earth, because usually they don't really talk about it. I still haven't found Sim. I really want to try. But I should probably see what's going on in geophonics real quick. You and Cal are working inside the geophonics domes today, preparing some tiny sprouts to move from temperature-controlled greenhouse to an open field. This is the best chance these plants will have to get a hearty start on life, before they're transplanted outside to the alien, acidic Vertumnan soil. You have a lot of sprouts to transfer, which involves a lot of wheeling heavy trays from one place to another, and it's hot inside the domes too. You're covered in sweat and dirt by midday. Ooh, work soft, sing your heart out. You sing sweetly to the little sprouts as you carefully transfer them into pots. Maybe it's your imagination, but they look happier somehow. You catch Cal doing the same to his plants. He blushes when you catch him, but he doesn't stop. Aw, you're so cute, Cal. Surveyor Tonin found blep grass shortly after the colony landed on Vertumna. The waxy, violent grass grows almost everywhere near the colony, and when you steep its roots you get a deep purple tea. It tastes horrible, grassy and bitter, but it's a stimulant and mildly hallucinogenic, so the adults think it's great. They've been drinking it for years with no ill effects except for the overwhelming urge to stick your tongue out and say bleh when you taste it. You've been trying to cultivate new variants so that it doesn't taste as awful or have more potent stimulant or hallucinogenic properties. Maybe you'll even find some entirely new medicinal usage. You're ready to test a new strain. Tangent would probably appreciate a better stimulant, and Cal would appreciate a nicer trip. Who will be your test subject? Cal, of course. You bring Cal a cup of freshly brewed blep tea and tell him to give it a try. He grimaces at the taste, but he drinks the whole thing. He's a strong one, that Cal. You've arranged to do this test at the end of Cal's workday, just in case it knocks him out. After a while, you ask him to report on how he feels. Cal blinks at you lazily. Oh, hey, Abby, he says, as if just noticing you're still there. He's been in deep philosophical conversation with the bobber plant for the last few hours, delighted when it bops up and down like it's agreeing with him. The high is really pleasant, he says, surfing his hand through the slight breeze. Don't think I like my heart feels funny? Like it's beating too fast, then like it just stops, and like I'm worried it doesn't want to start again, and then it goes thump thump really hard when it starts up again, you know? Sounds like Cal is experiencing some pretty common palpitation symptoms. You tell Cal the strain must be too strong, but he disagrees. No, it's fine, he says. It's just a little weird at first. If I know everything's gonna be fine, it won't bother me as much. The next time it'll be totally chill. Dude, no. No. Oh yeah, he nods, as if only music he can hear. I was supposed to work today. Oh no, what have I done? Your dad is running some kind of test on the Trippets. He's playing different chords and trying to see if they have language or if they're just making instinctive animal calls. You help him by holding up random objects and trying to determine if their sounds map to any understanding of what they're seeing. They're either saying kill all humans or linguini sports ball, your dad says, staring at the readout on his holopalm. I just can't be sure. Oh, well, let's hope it's linguini sports ball. Our mom is still alive! She's alive! We did it! You're alive! I can't believe I managed to do it! I did it even before! I'm so proud of us. We did so good. We got a lot of it done. We didn't even have to forage in the Valley of Vertigo. We're just that good. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? I always go and try and help Cal. What if I go up and try and save Uticott? I've never done that before. Let's do it. The roar wakes you. Oh no, I don't have enough bravery! Oh no! I'm sorry, Uticott. I was gonna help you, but... Your parents are already throwing on their shoes. Your mom grabs her personal defense sidearm. As head of Geophonics, she's one of the few who has one, and straps it to her hip as your dad gathers you in a big hug. Things are going to be okay, baby, he reassures you. You do what we say and everything will be fine. Your mom's going to go out there and see what she can do, and you and I are going to take care of the kids in the creche. You head out together. Your mom kisses your dad and gives you a brave nod before you have to go to separate ways. You huddle with your buds, Mars, Dees, Cal. Because it's the middle of the night, almost everyone was in their beds. Some people are still wearing their pajamas and sleep bonnets. Only Nemi is missing. The children's creche is buried deep in the belly of the stratospheric, making it one of the safest places you could be. Even so, the youngest children are scared, and there's a lot of crying. I will watch holovids with the young ones. Somehow, even with the sirens blaring, some of the youngest drift off into your arms. After an hour, someone in the defense squad rushes in and orders everyone to leave the creche. The battle is getting close to the stratospheric. Oh, yep, here he comes. Nougat! Oh, the faceless. Hello. Nemi and your brother come. Fight your fear and save the children. I have to save the children. Tammy's not here this time because of me. If I can't save Uticott, I can at least save the kids. Boop. 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 It's a tremendous effort to keep your head. Your calm helps the children, who finally listen to you and flee the creche. Your dad ushers you into the engineering wing, where you cower with the others, trying not to panic. All around you, metal screams and buckles, and the great tremors vibrate through the ship. Finally, after what it seems like hours, the noises stop. Your mom returns with more of a limp than usual. It's gone, she whispers to your dad in despair. It's all gone. The council calls an all-colony meeting to face the aftermath of the attack. In the oppressive gloom of Glow, you gather near engineering with the other survivors. It's one of the few buildings still standing. The corpse of the Faceless still sit in the caved-in wreckage of the stratospheric, spilling its flaccid pink tentacles from its horrible zipper-toothed maw. It's already beginning to stink. You can't forget what you saw. Governor Uticott was killed. Dang it, I was gonna save her too. Well, on the bright side, at least we saved our mom. She's still here with us, and she's gonna stay with us. You know what? Let's keep going. One more year, what do you say? Why not? Let's get the Helios here. And you know what? I think we deserve a treat. I'm going to let the dad live. I know I said I wouldn't, but somebody pointed out that it's not really a golden ending since Tammy isn't here anyway, so we will let our dad live. Tangent and Chief Engineer Instance have been hard at work in the lab trying to find a cure for the Shimmer disease. You've come to realize that you remember how to cure the Shimmer. You can't tell them it comes from your dreams, but you know the cause from nightmares of fungal topiaries, and you know the cure. You think you do anyway. Subtly guide them to the cure. You offer to help and nudge their research in the right direction. Due to what looks like a series of happy accidents, you achieve a breakthrough in a matter of weeks that should have taken years.
Sunlight! You try inoculations, antibiotics, antifungal creams, but what you finally works is a high-intensity light treatment mimicking the full force of suns during dusk, coupled with an injection to increase its potency. Of course, Tang exclaims. The fungus colonizes animal life during pollen, and some succumb to it, but the intense light of dust scourges the fungus from the survivors. It's all part of the natural cycle. The treatment works on samples, now to test it on a subject. You know it works. Test it on yourself. You already know the treatment works and is safe, but you have to test it on someone to prove it. At least this way, you look like a badass. You open a triple-locked research room and pass through an airlock. You don't have your envirosuit on, but that's the point. You need a strong dose of this fungus in your lungs. The small room is filled with the shimmer fungus. It's growing on everything, the floors and walls, and on lumpy shapes that were once some kind of biological matter. Now it's all just fungus, violet and shiny. You breathe deeply, marveling in the feeling of soupy, dangerous air infiltrating your body. Tang watches safely from behind the thick plexiglass. You can't tell if she's jealous or impressed. Next, you slide into the light therapy machine to bask in the nice warm light for a while. You even have a nap. Dr. Instance takes your vitals, runs samples of your fluids through various machines. She's excruciatingly thorough, but after a few days she concludes that the treatment is a success. You still carry a high fungal load, but its effects have been nullified by the light therapy. Remarkable, Instance says, going over your findings. Now that we have a frontline therapy, we can begin treating the population to prevent the fungus from taking hold. She looks over at Tang. Yabi's discovery will be of great help with our other research. You expect Tangent might be cross that you got the credit, but she nods, looking pleased. You're just thankful that no one was killed, not your father or anyone else. The colony is safe from Shimmer. He can live this run. I'm being nice. The sun's finally dawn again on your birthday. You wake up early and climb to the top of engineering to watch the first sun's watery rays break the horizon as the wormhole recedes across the sky. Dawn should represent hope after a long period of darkness, but this light only reveals the full extent of the damage to the colony. You've been having trouble sleeping, like most people. It's hard to rest, crammed into the classroom with all the other kids and their families, and every time you close your eyes, you see. You shake your head to clear the memories. You're so tired. Feels like you've lived this life 100 times already, and every time you've had to go through this. It feels so colossally unfair. Why are you being tortured like this? You pull your blanket more tightly around your shoulders. Not your blanket, that one's gone, and stare out as the sun rises on the horizon, meager and sickly. Hey kiddo, you hear. Then your mom comes and sits down beside you. Thought I'd find you here. You both sit in silence for a while, watching the sunrise pick out all of the broken glass littering the fields, glimmering like a field of stars. After a few minutes, your mom nudges you with her elbow. So, she says, your first apocalypse, huh? She huffs, smiling self-deprecatingly. First one's always the hardest, she sighs. When the first colony was attacked, back on Earth, I thought that was it. Everything my parents told me about, the power of community, all that, I thought they were full of shit too. She turns and gives you a serious look. It's okay to be sad right now. And mad too. I'm mad as hell. I want to get out there and rip every goddamn mushroom out of the ground, and that's keeping me going for now. But that's not going to be forever, Yabby, she continues. Eventually, that sadness and rage is going to cool, and you have to figure out how to feel after that. She points at your chest. Hope lives here, she says. It's the human condition. We just don't know when to give up. Your mom squints out into the sunrise. I had to figure out how to have hope, too. I needed it. To get on a busted-up spaceship with your dad and launch myself through a wormhole. Hope is why we had you. She smiles. Things work out in unusual ways, Yabby. It just takes time. You watch the sunrise together for a few more minutes. After a bit, your mom pulls out a little box tied with a piece of gardening twine. From your father and I, she says. Happy birthday, kiddo. Aw, the medallion. Just like you remembered, a similar design, with a wormhole this time, to represent Vertumna. You thank her and squint out at the swirling wormhole, still barely visible in the brightening sky. It's so massive and awe-inspiring this time of year, but it always seems to herald disaster. You're happy to watch it fade away into the daylight. Your mom lets out a dark chuckle and slaps you on the back. What a birthday. Here's to another one, right? And you'll be with me now! You're assigned to help out in geophonics. The agriculturalists have been hard at work trying to salvage what they can of the ruined fields and the destroyed greenhouses, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Your mom is in fine form in her role as chief cultivator. She'd never admit it, but managing a crisis is what she's made for. Cal's working in geophonics too. He smiles when he sees you. Hey, Yabby, there's a lot of stuff to do. What do you want to work on? Repair the greenhouses. The geodesic domes, miraculously prefab modular structures your parents brought from Earth, are in shambles. Much of the glass and metal is beyond repair, destined for the recycler. You and Cal help clear away the debris, and when that's done, you help drape tarps over what's still standing so that the drifting spark snow doesn't pile up inside and affect the soil acidity. Anything that can't survive outside a climate-controlled greenhouse needs to be harvested and sent to the kitchens so that it can be preserved. Canning, jarring, dehydration, ancient techniques you've learned about in school, but didn't think you'd have to put into practice so soon. Everyone is worried about the prospect of a famine. You try not to think about it too hard, instead of focusing on just doing what you can to help rebuild. I already fixed a famine, we don't need another one. They're here again, welcome back. I am now your enemy again. It's a good thing the colony is in such pathetic shape right now, your mother mutters under her breath. If they thought we were a threat, they'd probably have just shot us. Your dad squeezes your shoulders and tells her to be quiet. No one knows how to react. A new governor from Earth? Nearly 100 new colonists, most of them trained soldiers? What does this mean for the colony? The crowd disperses slowly. You track down your friends. So what do you think of these new people? Mars asks. I don't want to share this planet. I don't mind sharing, Cal chimes in, but we don't really have anything left to share. Well, we were already barely hanging on. And did you see what they did to the fields? They're all torn up even worse now. Both our parents are here. Hello, my little tomato. Your dad's voice rings out across the fields, hale and hearty. You don't have it in yourself to be embarrassed, not during pollen, not with the memory of him struggling to breathe so fresh in your mind. Are you coming to check on your old man? He teases. He takes a deep breath, holds it in, and lets it all out comfortably. I'm doing great. No congestion, no sneezing, and I definitely don't want to take a hike outside the walls. Your dad pulls you into a big hug, ruffling your hair. He smells like sunshine and dirt and sweat, and you've never been happier to breathe it all in. He's alive. I'm so proud of you, he says quietly. You could pull off miracles, kiddo. It definitely was a miracle, since considering the first time I cured Shimmer, I wasn't even trying. It was literally an accident. Let's check out the new greenhouses, shall we? You're pulling weeds in the garden when you hear raised voices coming from the barn. Sox's barn! No! Oh no, Cal! We're getting caught, aren't we? No, Vase, come on, man! Cal is standing in front of the doors, blocking Vase from entering. What do you mean I can't go in there? Vic spits. What? This colony has top secret clearance now? You just can't, okay? Cal sputters. Vase tries to get around him, but Cal wedges himself between Vase and the door again. Why do you even need to, anyway? Vase shoves Cal hard. I'm on patrol, nullhead. I don't give a shit what's in the barn. All of a sudden, But all of a sudden, I care a lot about why you don't want me in there. Cal shoots you a look of pure fear. Sox must be out of her box. What do? 30 friendship with Vase? It's pollen. This is the first year. There's no way you could do either of these things. We could probably do persuasion, but I can't. I need to let Sox out. You sneak out to the other side of the barn and unlatch the window. Sox raises her head at the strange sound, and you beckon her to make a break for it. Sox shoots past you. Oh, she's huge! And you're buffeted as she pulls her long body out through the window and clatters up the side of the barn to the roof. You panic. Someone's going to see her. No! Sox! Come down and hide! You whisper and gesture to the shelter of the barn wall. She tilts her head at you and crawls back down the wall, sticking easily to it with her feet. There must be 10 pairs of them now at least. Sox curls up beside you, her great big dinosaur head in your lap. Through the window, you hear the sound of Vase searching the barn. You hold a finger to your lips in a shushing motion at Sox. You hope she understands. After a few tense minutes, you hear the barn door close and the sound of Vase's boots crunching down the garden path. Sox slithers her great body through the window again, and you go around front to meet Cal. Cal closes the barn door and heaves a sigh of relief. That was close, he mutters, wiping his forehead. Oh, did you know that you can still stress sweat even if you're always at the right temperature? He leans his back against the door. It's getting harder to keep Socks a secret, he admits. There are so many people here now, and she looks like that. Socks curls up and rests her big head on Cal's lap, looking up at him with an adoring expression. He rubs her nose and scritches behind her frill. When you saw the wild dilly pillar eating those rocks, what did it look like? He asks. You could tell Cal what you remember of the great beast, but even from a distance you could tell it was at least as long as the whole colony wall, that it ate boulders like soy sweets. But back when Socks was a baby caterpillar, you almost didn't recognize them as the same species, but looking at her now, you know that she's got the blood of dragons in her. Cal bites his lip. I was afraid you'd say that, he says softly. What are we gonna do? Oh no! Someone's gonna find Socks! I don't want Socks to get caught! Cal! You had plans to hang out with Cal today, but when you arrive at the geophonics domes, it's worryingly dark inside. You fumble around in the emergency lighting until all the lights come back on with a heavy ka-chunk of a breaker being flipped. You blink into the sudden blinding light until the figures of Cal and Chief Engineer Instance resolve themselves in your vision. Absolutely no more of that, young man, Instance scolds Cal as he cradles his hoverboard in his arms. The power grid is not your plaything. I understand, Auntie, Cal says. I'm sorry. Instance mutters to herself as she passes you. Honestly, all this over a toy. Hey, bud, Cal greets you. Sorry, I meant to meet you outside after work, but... He looks down at his hoverboard. My board wouldn't start, and I figured that maybe it was out of juice, but when I plugged it in, it threw off all these sparks, and then the whole power grid shut down. Cal's shoulder slumps. I was gonna ask Dr. Instance to take a look at it, but she told me that she doesn't have time to fix a dumb toy. Oh, I remember this. I think even if you have enough engineering that it doesn't work, like it's broken. I'm sorry, Cal, that sucks. Yeah, Cal sighs. It's just... Cal rubs his eyes. We've only got a few things left from when we were kids, you know? Everything else is broken or gone or dead. It's always kind of sad when a piece of old technology needs to be retired, but Cal seems to take this one harder than most. He hugs his hoverboard to his chest and excuses himself, not waiting to hear your goodbye. Oh, buddy. Alright, I'm gonna go explore. I need to see if we can find Sim soon. And maybe I can unlock tending animals along the way, because I still don't have that. Yabby, your mom's voice rings through the garden before you even see her. You and Wiggles pause in your tracks, and then your Ricky slithers away and hides under a bush. Your mom thunders down the path. Where is the little pink bastard? She hollers, waving around a gardening trowel. They ate my begonias. Your mom has been nurturing a couple plots of begonias, beautiful flowering bushes with delicate blooms. Like most plants from Earth, they're exceedingly precious. Once the seed bank is used up, the only way to make more is to successfully propagate them here on Vertuna. Wiggles is innocent! Or no, sorry? You hear a hacking noise from the underbush. Wiggles creeps out from under the bush and, as if on cue, horks up a mass of pink and yellow petals. Your mom fixes her angry gaze on you. Your pet is a menace, she exclaims. At least spiders back home ate other pests. This one is a pest. No! Be nice to Wiggles! She puts her hand on her hips. You should just release the damn thing. Who knows what it's going to grow up to be? Everything here just keeps growing. Nothing on this planet knows when to stop. Like my begonias, perfectly contained in their little pot. They knew when to stop. It's not Wiggles' fault. Your mom points her eyes, then points at Wiggles. I'm watching you, she mutters. Wiggles is innocent. My boy's being framed. Just the person I was hoping to see. Your dad jogs over with a sunny smile. Hey, you want to get your hands dirty? Well, more dirty? The survey teams are bringing in a ton of animals we're working on domesticating, and we could use your help. Yes, got it! You already know your way around a shovel, so I figured you wouldn't mind stopping by sometime and giving your old man a hand, he says, pointing towards the animal paddocks. Cal is helping out too, so you'll have a friend to work with. And if you happen to be out with the survey teams, keep an eye out for more animals to bring home. Sure thing! Your dad smiles. Great, see you there. We got it! Hey, we're here, and now we are not going to do the bot wrestling anymore because it is now about Xeno fighting, so we're not doing that. Who do these Helio jerks think they are? Right, Mars exclaims. This Lum guy is a tool. Did you hear what he said about us? How crass. Like, have some respect. Dees arrives carrying a big tureen of stew, and now they're just taking over. And everyone's okay with this? The adults are bigger cowards than I thought. Mars looks at Dees in shock that they agree on something for once. Ooh, I could do the bake-off! You know what? I'm not gonna do the bake-off. I want to save that for when Tammy's here, so we're ditching. You head off to the wall where you find Dees. Oh, it's you, he says. The slightly cooler breeze coming from the forest gently tussles his hair. What do you want? Just getting some time alone. Not flirting with you today, unfortunately. Yeah, me too, Dees says, staring at you. So, I'm going to go over here now. Cal! Hello! Have you by any chance seen a sexy alien? I'm looking for him. You're shooting the breeze with Cal in the shadow of the geophonic stone when he leans over and waves at someone over your shoulder. Perk! Hey, over here! Perk jogs over to you. He's a heavy-set adult with tattoos sprawling up his arm that makes him look like he's made of marble. He holds out a stack of tiffins wrapped in a sash. Hey, you two. Seth and I were testing out recipes and we ended up making too much. Figured I'd run some lunch over to you. Cal takes the tiffins and opens the first one. Lentil doll, he exclaims, inhaling deeply. No way! Perk looks proud. Rice is the second one, and a little something sweet in the third. You deserve it with how hard you've been working out here. You eat up too, Yabby, there's more than enough. Perk leaves you to divide the spoils, and Cal goes right to dessert. Having 4 parents is the best, he mumbles, around a mouthful of sour sweet cake. Cal's mom, Auntie Tira, is in a relationship with 3 other colonists. Perk's the newest member of his family, but even then they've all been together for a while. Cal's always been surrounded by a lot of love at home. Cal swallows his food. You know, sometimes I wonder if I want to date that many people, like my mom does, he muses. Like, finding one person who wants to date you and having the courage to ask them out is already hard enough. Bruh, my palms are sweating just thinking about it. Besides, Cal continues, it works fine for my mom, but I kind of feel like if I find someone, I want to just be with them, you know? I want to put all my energy into making them happy. You already make me happy. Cal's eyes go wide, and he rubs the back of his neck. I didn't mean that, but I didn't not mean it either. He giggles and looks away, unable to meet your eye. The dal is sweet and fragrant and tastes all the better for being made and delivered with love. You and Cal eat your fill before Cal excuses himself to go back to work. Oh, that was our first flirt! It's beginning. I'm still struggling to find Sim, but we'll worry about that later. Let's tend to some animals. You meet your dad by the animal pens, fresh and ready for your first day at your new job. Your dad laughs at your clean clothes and your scrubbed face. Oh, Pumpkin, I'm sorry to tell you that you're a little overdressed for the position, he chuckles. You're gonna get dirtier than heck all today. Go on, put on these overalls and let's get to work. You change and follow your dad to the float cow pens. He rubs their noses as he points out their names. I know they're cute, but these ladies aren't pets, he says. They're livestock, and more than that, they're not really domesticated like our animals back on Earth. They're more like tame. We give all the animals lots of room to roam, and we feed them well. They're not going to get chased down and eaten by bigger animals, and we help them if they're sick. It's a pretty good deal, I think, but they're still pretty wild, he says. You gotta be careful with them. He leans his elbow on the fence. We're pretty lucky that Fortuna has herd animals, he says. Makes it a little easier. We'll probably have a real domestic animals in a couple hundred years. Well, kiddo, Dad says, spreading your arms. We've got all these animals. What do you want to learn about first? Let's get started. I'm just ready. You catch your parents muttering about how the new governor and people from the heliopause. Your mom seems to be upset. The word fascists catches your ear. This might be your chance to ask some burning questions you've had. They're not going to answer me. They never do. Why did the Helios know about Mom? Your dad looks startled and tries to muster a friendly smile. You overheard us, eh, kiddo? Your mom gives him a warning sideways glance. Listen, Yabby, he hesitates and looks around nervously, as if afraid you're being watched. You're just going to have to trust us adults on this one. There are things you're still too young to understand. I am not too young! Your mom stiffens, but your dad motions to calm her. I thought the same about myself once, he says gravely. I was wrong. The Helios came here just like us, looking for a better life, he tells you. Some of them had other reasons too, but now that they're here, we have to learn how to work together. When your mother and I were young, on Earth, we learned a hard lesson. He gives a grim smile. We learned a lot of hard lessons. One was that it's always safer to be led by one dangerous person than to be attacked by an army of them. He lets that sink in. Another was that sometimes, when adults tell you not to worry, you should listen to them. Go on, enjoy your youth. He gestures towards the heliopause. Go get to know some of the new kids. I'm sure you'll find they're a lot like you.
You guys never talk to me. I saved your lives and this is how you repay me?
You're working with the bristlebugs this week. There's a whole herd of the slug seal porcupine beasts lumbering through the fields and rubbing against their scratching posts. You can walk right up to them and they don't mind it at all. You empty the berry catching buckets and sort through the berries, picking out loose stones and planting any that have sprouted. These ones will grow into bristlebugs too one day. It's wet season and they're fully bristled, so sometimes you have to separate out the ones who get too territorial. Even when they're cranky, they're still pretty docile. You come back from lunch one day to find the door to the pen wide open. Whoops! You must have forgotten to lock it. Good thing bristlebugs don't tend to roam. You do a head count. 15, 16, 17... You seem to be short one bristlebug. Luckily, bristlebugs aren't stealthy. There's a glistening slime trail leading towards the ruins of the stratospheric, decorated with clusters of little berries. You lock the gate and set along the trail to find your wayward bristlebug. Track it down. You easily find the bristlebug. It's gotten itself wedged between two panels, scritching back and forth on the most perfect scratching situation possible. You laugh and fill your shirt with berries like a bowl, then gently nudge it back towards the herd. It's slow going, but eventually everyone's back together again. Good work, Rancher.
I had practice with Slime Rancher.
It begins. You're relaxing in your quarters with your dad when you hear the colony siren. The enemy is here. Your dad looks up from his novel. Seems early this year. We should head to the shelter in the lounge. You've been drilling on new evacuation procedures for the past month. There's no need to be a hero now that there are so many new soldiers from the Helio. It's probably best to just follow instructions and head to the lounge with your dad.
Maybe.
I'll go to the lounge, why not? The mood in the loud is anxious. Even though the colony's defenses are much better this year, over hushed conversations you hear younger children crying inconsolably. You look for your friends in the crowd. Mars and Tangent are here, quietly reading something on Tang's holopalm. Cal is trying to entertain some kids with his juggling tricks. The few civilian kids from the Heliopause are here too, including Rex and Nomi. Vase and Nemi are absent, probably serving guard duty. You settle in to pass the time. Someone brings word that it's not a faceless out there at least. You hear a few loud booms from outside, so strong you can feel their shockwaves in the floor. People gasp and cover their heads, but nothing else happens.
I know what you are. You're just a loser.
Alright, but we finished another year and we have both of our parents. 2 years in one episode. This is like an hour and 30 minutes long, but I'm going to be able to cut it down. I spent a lot of time trying to explore and see if I could get Sim to spawn, but he hasn't shown up. Hopefully he'll show up this year so we can start working on getting the peace endings, because we do want that with Cal. I know there are a few more endings I missed that you need to actually fight, but we'll go back and get those another time. For now, we're going to focus on peace, we're going to focus on Cal and Socks, and flirting with him some more, and we'll do more of that next time. Until then, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. Remember to take care of yourselves, perform miracles, and have a good day.